Hello guys, today I'm going to show you some of the best tricks, tips, and secrets in Tears of the Kingdom. And don't worry, there will be no story spoilers in case you're not too far into the game yet. Alright, let's get right into it. Tip number 1 is to upgrade your energy cells often. Energy cells are essentially the battery life that you have for any vehicle that you pilot. You can permanently increase the amount of battery your energy cell has by coming to the Nachoya Shrine right here on the Great Sky Island. Talk to the steward construct in front of the crystal refinery and tell him to get producing. For every 100 crystallized charges that you turn in, your energy cell is increased. If you don't have any crystallized charges, you can come down to this cave on the island below. Here and at many other locations throughout the game, you can trade in Zonite for crystallized charges. Our second trick is that you can actually control the wing gliders even if you don't have a Zonite control stick. By changing Link's position on the glider, you can influence which direction it will fly. If you want to turn left, walk over to the left side, or if you want to straighten it out, walk to the back tail feather. Just make sure you're walking slowly so you don't accidentally fall off the edge. Obviously, you don't have as much precision in controlling the wing by doing this instead of using a control stick, but if you don't have one, it's a really easy way to get where you're trying to go. Now that Rivali's Gale is gone, you might be wondering how you can ascend vertically very quickly. For this next trick, I'm going to show you 3 different methods you can use to get up to a high place very quick. For our first one, you'll want to hit D-pad up and X to drop a bomb flower. Then go ahead and fuse it to your shield. You'll want to position yourself a little bit away from the place you're trying to go. Then start a shield surf by quickly pressing X and then A while holding ZL. If you did it right, it'll explode and launch you upwards. For method number 2, you'll want to either find a spring or pull one out from your inventory. Then fuse it to your shield. And just like the last method, simply run and then press X and then A very quickly while holding ZL to shield surf and bounce all the way up to the top. And finally, the most powerful method of all is to fuse a rocket to your shield. With the rocket, you don't need to shield surf. Simply hold ZL and you'll fly straight up super high. Just make sure that there's no ceiling or anything directly above you because it will cancel your rocket. One secret a lot of people don't know, though, about the rocket shield is that you actually can shield surf with it. But you'll only get a ride super fast across the ground for about 3 seconds before your shield breaks, so I would only try this with really crappy shields. The next trick is fusing a wing to your shield. It looks pretty goofy, but when you start a shield surf, you actually get more vertical height than usual. This can allow you to make vertical jumps you usually wouldn't be able to. And if you use an old trick from Breath of the Wild, where you jump and then slightly delay your shield surf, you can jump incredibly far gaps like this. You can even use the wing shield to get bullet time straight from flat ground. By starting a shield surf and then immediately pulling out your bow, you can enter bullet time and attack enemies. You might only be able to get a shot or 2 in, but with the fuse mechanic, this can still be very powerful. Okay, I swear this is the last secret about fusing things to your shield. But if you fuse a minecart to your shield, it allows you to shield surf anywhere, even down rough terrain. If you want to go down some stone stairs, no problem. Feel like grinding a ramp? You can do that too. Even on completely flat ground in a shrine, you can get some surfing in. One thing that I wondered when I started Tears of the Kingdom was if there was a way to break apart weapons that I had already fused. And it turns out there is. There's actually 2 methods, and I'll show you both of them. So let's say that I wanted to get rid of this rock that's attached to my stick, and instead fuse a bokoblin horn to the stick. What I can do is pause and go into the weapons menu and locate the club. From there, click A on it and select Destroy Fused Material. And just like that, the rock's gone, and I'm able to fuse the bokoblin horn to my stick. But what if, for instance, I had something really valuable fused to my weapon, like a ruby? Fusing a ruby can let you make a fire weapon, and if you don't have warm clothes, you can even put it on your back in a cold area to keep you warm. Well, thankfully, there is actually a way to separate the two without destroying one of them. By visiting Tarrey Town and coming to Pelison, you can pay him 20 rupees to safely separate the two of them. Even if your weapon is on the verge of breaking, this will still work. So if you're crazy enough to fuse a diamond to your sword, you can still get it back before it breaks entirely. This next trick might be obvious to some people, but if you don't know about it, it'll save you a lot of headache. Let's say you're on an island without a fast travel point, and you want to get to some islands that are really far away. It can be pretty scary and risky, because if you fall, it'll take a long time to get back to where you were. So the best thing to do is to save the game before you try something risky. That way, if something goes wrong, like you run out of battery before reaching the next island, you can simply pause the game and go to load. From there you can load your previous save and be back on the island safe and sound. You will lose any ZONI equipment you used to create a vehicle, so it's best to save before you put one together. All of the following tips from this point on will be about the underground. I will not be showing any major spoilers, but you have been warned that I am going to be showing footage from the underground. My first tip is to cook some recipes that will help you down there. By cooking bright cap mushrooms and glowing cavefish if you have some, you can create a recipe that will allow you to glow in the dark for a limited amount of time. This is super useful with how dark it is down there, and I'd recommend you cook as many as you can. For the second recipe, you'll want sundelian flowers. You can cook a couple of them with any other neutral ingredient. In this case, I cooked them with some sky shrooms. This recipe allows you to purge yourself of gloom. If you've explored the underground at all, you'll know that gloom stinks in this game. When you touch it or are hit by gloom-infected enemies, some of your hearts will be broken and unable to be healed until you get to a safe zone. But if you have some of these cooked up, you can cure yourself of gloom at any point at any time. You probably know that you can shoot BRIGHTBLOOM seeds on an arrow to light up the underground, but did you know you actually can throw them with your hands so that you're not wasting arrows? All you have to do is hold the R button like you're going to throw your weapon, but then hold up on the D-pad and select a light bloom seed. Another useful trick is that when you're flying with your paraglider, you can open the menu with up on the D-pad and then press X on a light bloom seed to make it drop directly below you. A lot of times gloom might be blocking your path, but you actually can shield surf over it as long as you don't get off on top of it. You can even shield surf over large areas of it by spamming the X button to repeatedly jump and pull out your paraglider. When traversing the underground, you can definitely make vehicles to get around, but an even better option is to catch a STALHORSE. They can be tricky to find in the dark, but if you find one, do not get rid of it. Not only can you ride directly over gloom when you're on one, but you can also throw BRIGHTBLOOM seeds while riding, which you can't do on a vehicle. Not to mention that you can jump off of it to enter bullet time instantly when fighting. This next trick is not exclusive to the underground, but it definitely will help down here. If you find a boomerang, especially a giant boomerang, you can attach a ZONI weapon to it. In this case I use a flame emitter, but any of the ZONI weapons will do. The great thing about boomerangs is they spin around and around and around, so you can pull off totally wild tricks like this. With a single throw you can light the entire enemy camp on fire. And if you hold Y down for a charge attack, you also can spin yourself in a raging swirl of fire. It's definitely one of the highlights of this game. You don't want to miss out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found something useful. If you did, leaving a like would help me out a lot. If I get enough likes on this video, I'd like to make a part 2, or a tutorial on how to make custom vehicles. But let me know in the comments what kind of Tears of the Kingdom content you guys are craving. Thanks.